this grand water trine, the last major transit of 2025 in a world, in a year that has seen outrageous and chaos and change, huge, massive collective shifts. This is another piece of that picture, which is going to assist us greatly as we approach 2026. This is a baptism by water. This is when I say baptism, I mean initiation. So this is an initiation by water, major collective implications. This is between Jupiter in Cancer, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and then all the personal planets going to be marching up, ding, 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 in Scorpio, just started yesterday, Mercury. It's like that ding, 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 that calling people to lunch on the ranch. There's a trine, there's harmony, and there's flow. And this is going to bring about enormous amounts of potential for healing. Epic healing on a very, not just on an individual level, but collectively, because of Jupiter and Cancer trining Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. We won't ever see this again in our lifetime. Neptune is at the very, very end of its journey through Pisces. It only happens every 164 years that Neptune comes around to this place. Not going to lie, this is not going to be easy. There's going to be involved some kind of death or loss or letting go. And it's the parts of ourselves that have to change, that have to renew. Yes, tears and such, but we're going to have help. The mothership hears you. It's Jupiter in Cancer, very exalted. There's a lot of really powerful placements here. Hi, my name's Irlianna, StarSound Astrology. I practice a blend of ancient astrology and modern. In my practice, I use astrology to help you understand your life's mission so that you can powerfully navigate what's ahead, as well as live a life of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. If you'd like a session, the link is below. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about grand water trines. The dates to watch for, it's already underway. This parade of planets, Mercury, Mars, the Moon, Sun, and then finally Venus will be moving into that portal, into that area of transformation and healing. And so from mid-October to early December, we're talking about deep emotional insights. We're talking about intuitive breakthroughs, outdated patterns that no longer work for us. In a situation like that, in a baptism by water, if you look at any mystical sect, Gnosticism or Kabbalah or mystical Christianity, Hermeticism, all of these traditions always point to water as its baptism. It's an initiation. What they all have in common is it's a cleansing of the ego. It's a letting go, a death of the egoic self, moving up rungs into a higher level of our existence. So in the process of that, of course, it can be sad. We can definitely feel a lot of tears of grief, especially Neptune's gone back into 29 Pisces, and it will station retrograde in those last degrees of Pisces and then move forward. And it won't get back to 0 Aries until February, was it 20th, 19th, 20th of 2026. So between now and February, it's going to be journeying its last chance, journeying through Pisces. And this is, of course, is epic. And the fact that Saturn is aligned with it, this is also epic. Saturn and Neptune have not been together since, 1703? That's all. There's nothing happening this year, right? All these outer planets changing and all lining up for this Jagundo fire and air sextile trine next year, which my dear friend S.J. Anderson, he calls it the Barbeau basket because he's named it after André Barbeau, this French astrologer who saw this many, many years ago. Getting back to this, what is this healing potential? Let's talk more about that. I'm very, very invested in that because in my years before I became an astrologer, I worked very much in sound healing and energy medicine. So I facilitated workshops, private sessions, classes, intensives, all to elevate and amplify the light body and move us into higher states of being. So, of course, when I saw this grand water trine happening, I knew I had to talk about this. This is really epic, and this is where astrology really serves us because we have this opportunity to use the stars as guides to find out where is this going to occur? What is the nature of it? How can we best prepare for this so we can take advantage of it? Okay, we've got the final Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, the outer planets. These are all collective. So if a grand trine happened with just personal planets, that's like, it's quick, it's fast, it's a few days. But with Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune, we're talking about months, right? So this exact trine is going to be in and out, hovering over for the next 6 weeks. So that's a big deal. And it's all about outer planets, which is about the collective. So, and they're all in late degrees. So late degrees of a sign there is this sense of completion and endings that is occurring. So it speaks to the things that need to leave and move and mutate to get us ready for February. I want you to think about your chart. If you don't know what your rising sign is, you can get a free chart on astro-seek.com or astro.com, and you can plug in your birth time and you'll know your rising sign. So wherever Cancer is in your chart, Cancer is the ascendant of the Thema Mundi, right? The world chart. So this is like a symbolic horoscope of the world and of existence. The ancients placed Cancer as the rising sign. The moon, right? It's fertility. It's where life happens. It's a water sign. Water is life, as we know. So Cancer, if you look at where Cancer is in your chart, whatever house that is, Jupiter has been transiting in there through the summer, and it will continue into next year, into next summer. And this is where, since it's a cardinal sign, Cancer is a cardinal sign, it's about initiation and a new direction, taking action, the turn of the wheel, a new direction begins. So we're initiating a new direction with hope and faith, Jupiterian, right? Jupiter is about faith, hope, and optimism, and improving oneself. Cancer, what we do to take care of ourselves, our nurturing side, the mother, the goddess, the Jupiter and Cancer's divine mother, Kali Durga, Kuan Yin, white buffalo calf woman, any and all of these feminine deities represent the archetype that we're talking about here. That area of your chart is where you want to lean into intuition and feelings. This is Cancer country. Now, we've had an introduction to what's occurring now over the next 6 weeks. If you remember back in December of 2024 into February of this year, Mars went retrograde, and it went retrograde. Mostly it was through Cancer, and it stopped, went forward. And so now Jupiter is tracing the path that Mars was going through. So whatever work we saw that needed to be done about healing, initiating a new change, bringing online leadership that is focused on compassion, right? Cancerian qualities, leadership with compassion and care and emotions, and leading with our gut and our intuition and sharpening that. Mars is all about sharp tools, right? So sharpening our intuition. This is what was called for. In the collective, addressing the pain body of men. And what happened during that time, that Luigi guy was accused of murdering the CEO of the healthcare company, right? And we had that. We've had all these world leaders witnessing this outrageous genocide in Gaza. We've also had the Prince Andrew thing that just happened, which was a perfect textbook example of this Grand Water Trine, right? Mercury in Scorpio, some dark, heavy improprieties, abuses of power and sex. Perfect example of this Grand Water Trine, the potential for healing. We've seen this, the pain body of men. This is one very big piece of it. It's everyone's pain body. If one person on the planet is in pain, we're all in pain. We have to see ourselves as being interconnected. And the nice thing about water trines is water represents that connection between all life. And so we're getting to experience the opportunity to move into new places that we have never been before. The way our leadership, for sure, in our society, as we see this complete takedown, whatever country we're in on the planet, we're seeing this complete dissolution of the status quo. Whole new belief systems emerging, which is what Saturn in Pisces has been all about since 2023. So there's this initiation, leaning into intuition and feelings. The divine is calling us to initiate a new direction regarding Cancerian topics: mother, home, family, healing, security, food, nurturing, fertility, pregnancy, the home, the comforts of home, and the security of home and the homeland. So these are all areas that are up for transformation. Then we go to Scorpio. This is where the fast-moving planets are happening. So you really want to pay attention to that area. This is where we break down stagnant situations. The dark side of Scorpio is this grip that wants to control and manipulate everything and control life rather than let it flow through us. It's like hanging on and maybe even taking, like vampirically pulling. If you think of it too as a snake, like a scorpion is one such thing, but the snake is a very scorpionic. The idea of a snake shedding its skin is no longer useful, and it needs to be discarded and shed because there is something else that wants to come up. And that confronting that fear of death, it can be cathartic. In the true Scorpio style, there's drama and conflict and chaos involved, and a lot of drama, and it can be cathartic insights and healing, especially with Mercury there. You know, our ideas and our subconscious patterns about healing and about transformation and our fears of letting go. Maybe there's patterns that we're not aware of. So this is going to give us an opportunity to see that. The ability to transform ourselves from looking at these very it can be very painful subjects, and it may involve having painful conversations with people. And with Mars in its domicile in Scorpio, this could be about cutting off relationships, or making a break, because action has to be taken in order to fulfill on that Jupiter in Cancer cardinal sign initiation. In order to go in that new direction, we have to let go. We have to create a safe space for really going within and looking deeply at our patterns. So it can involve a lot of crying, grief, tears. Think floods. There are going to be places on the earth, literal floods. Not easy. Even if the water is just in ourselves, you know, we're 70% water. The earth is 70% water. So a grand water trine, floods of tears. But then there's grief. We have the grief, we cry our cry, and then we take action, because that is what Mars is wanting us to do. Move into action. Pisces, that's where Saturn has been working very diligently for 2.5 years to dream a new reality. We have been asked to take responsibility, some very sobering realities we have to take responsibility for and accountability. Saturn wants us to pursue our dreams, but we have to work for them. And we can't be dilly-dallying or toying around and fantasizing. Pisces can fantasize about these changes, but are you going to make them? Are you going to commit to them? Are you going to get a business plan? Are you going to set goals? Are you going to get disciplined? With the water trine, there's enormous help. When we cut ties with old stagnant patterns, then we dream a new expanded reality. The societal conditioning around what we believed in is being upended. And what is being called for is this mystical, transcendent self. This is where we discipline ourselves with whatever spiritual practices to elevate ourselves that will carry us through, clearing out the past so that our vessel is clear and ready to receive these very fast-moving, high frequencies of light that will be happening once we get into February. So the mystical transcendent self is really calling out. And whether that means drawing, art, creativity, it's certainly music, dance, poetry, anything of inspiration, singing, certainly connect us with these realms. And then, you know, the other thing too to watch is Mercury is going to be going retrograde on November 9th, retrograde in Sagittarius, and it'll go back into Scorpio. So whatever we uncovered in the last week, there's going to be another look at it and a visitation or revisit of these themes. We could be seeing them from a different perspective or getting some higher level of insight about that. And then, of course, Jupiter is going to be retrograding. It moves a lot slower. Mercury zipping back and forth, retrograding into that grand trine is going to be big. It's going to really move things a lot. And Jupiter going retrograde will also, and then of course, Neptune will station and go direct. So there's a lot of movement among these three planets because they're retrograde or they're about to go retrograde. So we get new levels of insight. So the thing you want to look at Number one, release emotional baggage. With Neptune and Mercury both stationing during this period, there's an opportunity to dissolve old wounds, old abuses, where you maybe felt like you've lost your power, and the victim martyr kind of thing, with especially Neptune and Pisces, the victim martyr complex, and Saturn coming along saying, okay, it's time to end that. And where can we channel our energy into something constructive? That's going to be, Saturn in Pisces wants us to create epic art. Things, where and what do we want to leave as a legacy? Because he's not coming back for 28 years. How old are you going to be 28 years from now? I don't want to even add. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. So this is it. And we're never going to see Neptune and Pisces again, any of us in our lifetime. So past emotional wounds, outdated mental patterns. Number two, embracing intuition and compassion. This is the water way. All these water signs emphasize emotional depth, empathy, compassion, intuition, the wisdom that comes from we're dialed into our gut. How does it feel? Not like what I think is right, but what do I feel is right? And this is certainly about trusting that inner guidance, trusting the gut, that non-linear, non-logical mind. If there's anything, you remember, we've had our eclipses here in North Node Pisces, right? This is where we have been asked to lean into that there's a new chapter opening for all of us on the planet around trust and faith with North Node in Pisces. And then number three, envision and manifest the future. Envision the future, not just think about it and daydream, which can very well in a Piscean thing. And Neptune and Pisces is going to be, that's wonderful, this etheric world. But Saturn's like, give it to me. Let me see it. Come on, pop, pop, pop. The drill sergeant, I want to see it. I want to see it manifest. So this is about strategically planning and setting intentions. We're going to set intentions for the future. So you have your crying process, your grief, your healing process, letting go. Then you blow your nose with lots and lots of Kleenex and you go, okay, now I move on and I'm going to commit to something. So this is going to align us with the upcoming transformative energies of 2026, especially starting in the spring. But we'll certainly feel them throughout, especially in the summer. It's going to be outrageous. But think long range. These are long range plans, not a plan for a year, but a plan that will last generations, that will last that you can hand off to once you leave the planet. Think big, think long term and big. That's what Saturn wants from us. It's interesting though, when Saturn was in Pisces 2 cycles ago, Saturn in Pisces trine Jupiter in Cancer, late August 1966, the Beatles had their final concert in Candlestick Park in San Francisco. You talk about epic, right? What did that do? It opened the door for all of these other rock bands and the evolution of rock moving forward, Led Zeppelin and Jefferson Starship. Again, these ideas of epic art and expression and leaving a mark that lasts for generations. And we all have this opportunity. The divine wants to hear from us. We're not just some nobody. We have these potentials, and this is our golden opportunity to get that set up so that when we step into that world point, Saturn and Neptune and Aries, 0 degrees, that's big, exactly conjunct, right? This is the exact conjunction, late February. This will be a very huge societal shift. Okay, next, dates to watch. October 25th to 31st. Roughly, Mars will continue making that powerful trine in Jupiter and Saturn. It's still in its domicile in Scorpio, so it can really act powerfully and effectively. Think about this too. This year, Halloween, All Hallows Day, Dia de la Muertes, also known as Samhain in the pagan traditions. This is the time of the year when the veils are the thinnest, which is why we have the Day of the Dead, right? This is where our ancestors are extremely available. The veils are the thinnest. What an amazingly powerful Samhain this is going to be. The next dates, Mercury stations retrograde, November 9th, start traveling back, ding, 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 ring that trine. November 17th to 21st, the sun will be in Scorpio, and that will trine Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, right? And it's intensifying the trine. So the sun brings vitality and light and illuminates the dark corners of things where we have been afraid to tread, shedding light on what needs to go. And let's face it, that new moon, oh my God, let me tell you, whoa, whoa, whoa. The new moon, 28 degrees, as we said, all the new moons from Libra through Pisces of this year into next are all at 28 degrees. And Mercury, Cazimi, this mystical, magical meeting with the sun, new insights about maybe where have we abused our power or our speech? Where have we had fear around our own power? So as you can see, there's a lot of potential here. November 26th to 30th, Venus, it's her turn to step up to the plate. So Venus will come through that part of your chart that is ruled by Scorpio. Venus is in exile. Mars in domicile in Scorpio gets his work done. Venus, it's not easy. Venus is afraid of the dark, just wants pleasure and comfort and wonderful harmony and beauty. And it's not easy for the goddess to go, it's disappearing into the underworld. This time it's part of that grand water trine, so it's elevated even more. It's happening during Thanksgiving weekend. This holiday season is like, courage on steroids. Maybe we have to cut ties with people who've been toxic, that have been psychic energy drains on us. Or we have to be honest with ourselves, have we related to others trying to manipulate and drain energy from others? It can work both ways. And this takes a lot of courage. Venus in exile, making that trine, but there is help from the divine to assist us in letting go and seeing these truths and healing ourselves. Mars happens to go out of bounds on Thanksgiving Day, sitting at that table with all the trimmings. Let's just not kill each other. Mars and Sag wants to be right. I want those yams, damn it. And Venus is like, oh my God, can I speak up? A lot of faith and hope and courage too, to fight for what's right. Not just the yams. Let's take it bigger. Big picture, right? Don't forget the big picture. Mars out of bounds, and outrageous abilities to be brave and to speak the truth, be an inspiration and encouragement to others. That's a piece of what Thanksgiving is going to look like. It's part of this big old grand water trine. November 29th, Mercury goes direct. It's at 20 degrees of Scorpio, and then he'll start swinging back over that trine. The 6th of December is going to be the final pass of Mercury over that. Mercury is also about solutions. Think about some incredibly transformational solutions to things that come from a place that we're maybe not aware of. Scorpio is always about the depths of things. Mercury in Scorpio can bring up painful taboo subjects. Maybe it's about death or sexuality or income tax, sex, death, and income tax is all Scorpio territory. December 10th is it's pretty much over by December 10th or 11th, because Neptune stations direct in Pisces, and that's the finality of the grand water trine. So what do we do with all of this? What are practical things we can do? Well, certainly getting in touch with our feelings. That might not be easy for some of us, especially in the areas that where that Scorpio is in your house, is those areas that have been pain points. Taking a salt bath, very, very healing. Dream journaling, believe me, we will have very powerful dreams. I would say too, I got the idea about automatic writing, because this is something that is from another, deep in our subconscious, especially with Mercury and Scorpio. You could put a timer on for 10 minutes and just write whatever's in your mind, just like dumping, purging, right? Scorpio is so much about purging. We can purge, and things will come up that we might surprise us. Another thing to do is to use your non-dominant writing hand. That can be your impatience comes up, right? It's like, I want to get it out, but my hand is like, but it's the inner child. It's that part of us that is not allowed to be seen, right? That other side of us. So whether we're left-handed or right-handed, whatever that other hand does, but let that hand speak, and you would be surprised, whoa, what comes out. I would say too, art, music, and creativity. We want to be ready. We want to be we want to have our plans in action before February. We want to take whatever, even if it's a small step, something that shows the universe, as we take one step toward them, they take 10 toward us, all of our ancestors and guides. So anything we can do in the direction of our dreams, go for it. I am your total cheerleader. Gone with the wind. Tomorrow is another day. There's always a new beginning. So call on the ancestors, get help. Operators are standing by. You know, like, what's that? Remember Lily Tomlin when she's like, one moment, I'll connect you. We have to lighten up a little here. Before we do rising signs, powerful tool. For grief, I've always done really well with EFT, emotional freedom technique. When my parents passed, and my best friend passed away and such, when I've lost cats and tough losses, I'll put the link below where you're actually clearing the neural pathways in the brain and grief is definitely they say it's a form of PTSD. So I would say, I recommend it if you've never tried it. Another one, somatic releasing. I talked about that one in the last video too. Can't say enough about that. Human Garage TV on YouTube, Liz Tenuto, The Workout Witch, are two very easily hands-on practical things you can start right now watching their little YouTube shorts and videos to move and the fascia in the body and release trauma. Music. I don't care if you play the kazoo, just play. Give yourself permission. There's a movie I thought of today, Coco, the Pixar movie, Coco. It won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Wonderful teaching, and it's also about the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and beautiful, really epic level work. And Pixar has definitely evolved over the years and way more mystical and transcendent. And I think that was the first movie where they went into this deeper territory, deeper than they ever have. Let's do rising signs. For you Aries risings, if you are an Aries rising, the initiation, the cardinal initiation, Jupiter in Cancer, is in your 4th house of home and family. And the action, so there's a new direction that you're being asked to take. There's a broader picture for you of what constitutes home and family. The action for you is in your 8th house of Scorpio. That is where you want the action is taking place with all the personal planets. So Scorpio has to do with obviously with in the 8th house, it's the fear of death, other people's money, the ability to merge with the mysteries of the universe, and all of that. So you want to be incorporating those 8th house topics and all of the planets, Mercury, your thoughts, speeches, things that have to do with the finances and resources of others, the debts that you owe, the soul debts that you owe, the debts that others owe you. These are all 8th house things. So that is tied in very intimately. So the home and family, the call from Jupiter coming from the home and family, having to do with end of life matters, with, say, an estate or a will or an inheritance, merged resources, and bringing dreams to reality. That would be in your 12th house. So Pisces is Saturn is in coming through your 12th house, and it's time to put aside any illusions and delusions or feelings of victimhood and dream yourself a new reality. All right, Taurus rising, that is going to be the initiation, the call to action, initiation, the changes is in your 3rd house. The 3rd house represents, of course, our siblings, our cousins, siblings, neighbors, also how we communicate and reach and learning, communicating, networking. Those are all 3rd house things. And so there is some kind of healing, perhaps. Maybe you're going to school, maybe you're learning about healing and in a local educational setting. The call to action would be with your 7th house. So there's something that needs to be let go of. Maybe there's some relationships that you might have been afraid to move into, but it's time for you to address maybe some painful topics with the people that you've partnered with that you are sensitive to. But if once you address them, they can really open lots of doors. The dream to reality would be where you dream into your dreams into reality would be your 11th house of friends and supporters. That's where there's some work to be done, and where the universe wants you to do something regarding groups or group efforts or a tribe or a community or an organization. Okay, for Gemini, you Gemini risings, this is going to be in your 2nd house. So your second house, the Jupiter in Cancer in your second, the second represents the your own personal finances, and then what needs to be let go of or addressed, or what toxic stagnant patterns may have to do with your health, with your work environment, with your daily routine, where you have struggled with all that. So in cutting loose any kind of old toxic patterns of belief around what constitutes those work and how that workplace can be transformed. The 10th house, your career house, is where you have Saturn and Neptune. And so this is time to dream big and laying down these plans and getting your health in order certainly will allow you to work powerfully and create there's a new reality, there's a new structure of how you are going to be showing up for the world in the 10th house with your career. So Cancer risings, this initiation for you is happening. The Jupiter is in your first house. So you have the first, ninth, and fifth. So this new direction is being called for with how you show up to others, how you present yourself, your physical body. There may also be about illness or something, having faith, hope, optimism. It's a new turn of how you maybe treat your body. Depending on where your moon is and the condition of your moon, ruler, there's some wisdom, embodying this cosmic wisdom. What you have to do is look at areas where it is areas of joy, creativity, pleasure. This is where the Scorpio influence, the fifth house, love affairs. Maybe there's some old love affairs that you have had painful experiences with, and it's time to cleanse and purify and move on from hanging on to the past and the pain of that, or with children, it could be, or just creative projects. And so this is about confronting the fears and the subconscious patterns so that you can embody and dream a new place for you in terms of your spirituality, your ninth house, right? Your spiritual beliefs, maybe even travel, expanding. What is your ideal situation regarding travel, spirituality, esoteric wisdom, these things that can be completely reinvented. There's a big dissolution and breakdown happening. And by addressing these old fears, it's going to help you move that forward. Okay, for you Leo risings, this Grand Water Trine, the call to action, the call to change is in having faith. It's your 12th house, your 4th house of home, and 8th house of inheritances and other people's money. So where Jupiter is saying, have hope, there is healing of old, maybe there's old karmic family patterns that you've been stifled with, and held back by, but Jupiter is offering hope and encouragement that these things, even though they have been very debilitating, can be healed. And where you need to look at is your base, your foundation, your family, your physical home, as well as where you find yourself at home. There's some old patterns that you've been maybe a little too comfortable with, and you need to be able to reinvent yourself from the very base of who you are and where you operate from. And when you do that, then the 8th house, there are riches and to be had. There are openings to be had that will assist you in getting out of, fear of survival or of lack or of facing endings. Maybe it could also be about receiving the blessings of, say, an inheritance or will or a trust, something of that nature that will assist you in moving on and dreaming. Maybe you would get money from like an inheritance, and you dream a new existence, a new vision for yourself that's based upon overcoming all these fears. Virgo risings. This call to action, the call to adventure and hope and encouragement starts in your 11th house. So the 11th house is about friends and groups and group activities, group organizations, tribes, friends, supporters, the people who support you and the people you support. And that is the joy of Jupiter, is in Hellenistic astrology, is the 11th house. So you see how important that is, and how powerful this turning point. It's going to involve the people, your colleagues, could be professional colleagues as well. And so there is some wisdom, there's some higher truth that is coming forth that wants, the universe wants you to open up and expand your what is true for you as regards your friends and networks, and hopes, wishes, and dreams, and bringing them alive, it's time to move that forward. And what we have to do for you Virgo risings, what you guys have to do is to confront maybe it's your third house, your Mercury, Scorpio in your third. You have communiques, perhaps with siblings or cousins and family members, that you need to have some painful, maybe there's some old patterns there that are stagnant, that may have worked for a while, but they just don't work anymore, or they could just be very damaging. And you want to look at, instead of destructive patterns of relating and communicating and taking actions, it's what can be constructive, what conversations can be had that will heal and renew. And when you do that, that will, of course, involve your seventh house, which is your seventh house of partnership, whether it's a marriage or a business partner, the ability to work with others, even clients. You're being asked to dream a new reality in terms of who you, self and others. It's the others. Well, how can you be in service to others? What kind of dream life can you imagine that involves the seventh house of partnership? What is your ideal picture of what partnership looks like, what long-term relationship looks like? So by addressing these fears, you are able to move this forward, and this will definitely get you ready for next year, when Saturn and Neptune join up in your eighth house of renewal and transformation. That's the house of the shaman. I always say the eighth house is like the shaman house. You confront death, you confront fear, and then boom, you're out the other side, and all you want to do is help other people. Libra rising, the call to action is in your career house. So there's a new direction that the universe is asking you to, or inviting you to step into, a new direction, initiating, compassionate leadership, something regarding maybe healing, the healing arts, intuition on steroids. They're very prophetic visioning is always very closely aligned with Jupiter, and Jupiter in Cancer is very powerful for that. Jupiter's in its exaltation, and Neptune's in his home sign of Pisces. Neptune was assigned Pisces by modern astrologers. So the very powerful collaboration here. But the 10th house of the career and the public reputation, there is an expansion of your role. And what is getting rewritten and what you want to face are these fears that you've had about maybe the ability to support yourself, or money situations. The second house is also the talents that you've been blessed with. So with Scorpio ruling that second, you have an enormous ability to penetrate deeply and to understand deep processes, deep psychological processes. And maybe it's time to move past your fears and really step into those abilities, those natural abilities that you're born with. And in doing so, that's going to enormously alter and allow you to dream a new dream for how you serve the planet, what you do in your day job or your daily work. It also rules your health and your diet, and being strict and not, no pussyfooting around. Getting serious and making a dedicated commitment to a daily devotion and a daily discipline that will help you move everything forward. Scorpio rising, boy, that's a big adventure, we'll say. Hey, Scorpio risings, nothing like a little drama and transformation through chaos. Is the Scorpio way. No, listen, it's a very enormously powerful, you are very tuned in anyway. You Scorpio risings are always very, very, very tuned in and extremely intuitive and extremely sharp, and ability to see something powerfully for what it is. Mars being the ruler of your ascendant, Mars is the captain of your ship. He's coming through there along with Mercury, and the whole hit parade. So this is angular. This is a big deal for you. This has to do with your health and well-being, and dare I say illness. Let's not get sick here. But the how you show up to others is this is the phoenix coming from the ashes. There's some kind of loss of how you've been of how you've been operating. Maybe you've been vituperative and critical of self, critical of others, and people might be like on pins and needles trying to, but this is now a time to rinse that clean. And again, that baptism by water, letting where you have a Jupiter is in the 9th house. So there's this opportunities with expanded vision, expanded travel. You might even be traveling far and wide. You could find great truth and abundance and material wealth through how do you feel about your belief system? How do you feel about these changes? Certainly, it is the joy of the sun. So this is a very powerful house for initiating these changes around your belief systems, and maybe the relationship you have with travel and trying on different cultures, and where do you find yourself comfortable? Where do you call yourself home? Maybe it's in a foreign country, but knowing for sure what needs. So there's that call. There's a new something new is opening up regarding your belief systems, and then in order to really have that land is getting rid of the old stuck concepts, the vituperative, vindictive side of the Scorpio. Let's face it, it's all, I've met lots of you. I'm telling you, you all have that in common. I love you dearly, but there can be that. So the unconscious part that, that little that tries to get back. So this is it, people, where the universe is giving you an enormous opportunity here. Don't blow it, please. But like I said, operators are standing by. Divine Mother wants to help you. And by doing that, by letting go of these old, stagnant, unconscious patterns, cry if you have to, do whatever you need to do, but know that your creativity will benefit. Your ability to be an artist, the muse, the artist, to have a muse, to be a muse, the huge opportunity to dream yourself a whole new reality with your creative life. What gives you joy? What gives you pleasure? Dream and take action, right? It's not just dreaming. It's take that dream and put it into action. This is what Saturn and Neptune wants for us. This is our get ready, because it's going to be powerful, next year. So we want to make sure we have all these burners fired up. For you Sag risings, this is 8th house of Jupiter. The initiation, the change in direction is coming from your 8th house, which happens to be other people's money, finances, and resources of others, whether they're from debts or inheritances or trust funds, things of that nature. Maybe there's a home inheritance. The ability to create hope and inspiration. And what needs to change is so your 12th house is this idea of some unconscious patterns around, maybe there's criticisms and things, or the feeling that you're not powerful, like you maybe have feeling where you sabotage. The 12th house is where we sabotage, where we have a power, but we squander it, or we don't use it, or we're afraid to use our power. So this is going to be assisting us in dissolving old, I could even say 12th house is like this karma that you came in with, perhaps, if you want to think of it in that regard, old samskaras that prevent you from being in your power. And I would say too, with Scorpio is very deeply transformative. It's love, sex, death, power, the ability to merge and the ability to be in full command of one's sexuality is a very powerful thing. And it's a place for you in your life with 12th house Scorpio, where those desires, maybe there were sexual desires or such that had been hidden away, and you were afraid to explore them. So this is going to be a really great healing for you, especially with the coming from the 8th. The 8th and the 12th are the two toughest houses. So it's going to unseat a lot of fears that you've had around these subjects. And as that happens, you are also dreaming into a new reality, a whole new you, a whole new base of how you operate, your whole belief system shifting of who you are and what you're here for, and where you can, your 4th house is your family life, your home life, and where you can create what is your ideal home. What does your ideal home base look like? So very powerful time for you. Capricorn, 7th house, initiation. Jupiter is calling you from the 7th house of partnership, marriage, business partnerships, clients. So there's encouragement and hope with the people that you work with and collaborate with, and where all those planets are going to be moving through your 11th house. The Scorpio house is your 11th. So that's where there's been some old stuck patterns, subconscious patterns you've had around maybe control, or feeling like you've been controlled by groups of friends or organizations, and the fears and drama and conflict that you may have had regarding friends and groups. And so this is an enormous healing opportunity for you that's going to help you, especially with dreaming a new reality. The new dream reality that wants to come forth is in your 3rd house of siblings, communications, learning, networking. So there's some new realities, some new structures it's time to take action and put into place. What are those ideal structures? What is beautiful, incredible, mystical, creative expression look like to you? And so these are the areas of your chart that are highlighted for the Grand Water Trine. 7th house of partnership, 11th house of friends, 3rd house of communications. Aquarius risings, you guys, the call to action coming from the heavens. The divine is calling you in from the 6th house of your daily work and service, your day job. There's some hope and encouragement and healing that wants to occur, where you want to be thinking and feeling and leading from your gut, what feels right to you, and having compassion for others, say in the workplace, and offering them inspiration and hope as well. And what needs to really be the area that is ripe for transformation is your 10th house of career, where you might have had some old stagnant notions about what constitutes how you reach out to others and how you merge and blend and engage with others. Maybe some power trips. Maybe have you been that power tripping boss, or do you have authority figures that you've had conflicts with that need to be healed? That your relationship to authority and being that figure and having that responsibility needs to be healed. And this is the opportunity that the universe is giving you over the next 6 weeks. So, and that's an angular house. That's big. It's, how the world sees you, your reputation. As these things heal, as this new movement is happening, it will enable you to dream a new dream regarding your finances and taking responsibility on what is my ideal financial situation? How can I create with my talents and the things that are important to me? Where is my life worth living for the things that I really want to do, and what is really important to me, and not what society says I should do, but where is my ideal life? What are the things that I want to pursue that are important to me, where I can leave a legacy? So this is occurring for you, again, in the 6th house of work, 10th house of career, 2nd house of personal finances, talents, and skills. Pisces rising. Okay, you guys, this call from the divine is coming from the 5th house. Jupiter has been in Cancer for the last several months. This is an opportunity. This is a huge opening for you in the areas having to do with anything with children, the care of children, the beautiful, outrageous, divine providence occurring for you in the ability to care for children, to be that, leader for them, to give them hope and encouragement, and to give them inspiration, and to be inspired by children, to inspire and be inspired. So the fifth house is also, the things that we love and our creative projects. So what gives us pleasure, like the pleasure of being at home making cookies, we can get some cosmic truths as we putting chocolate chip cookies on the cookie sheet. So fun activities, right? This is all fifth house. This is a year for you to go out and enjoy yourself like that. Where the healing occurs, where there's been a crisis, and the crisis leads to healing and opportunity, is to look at the things that you're so afraid of regarding your belief system, perhaps legal matters that maybe you're afraid of, and where there's been an abuse of power in these systems of belief, whether it's of the legal system or religious or spiritual beliefs, and there's some kind of, maybe there's some hidden secrets, maybe there's things that are going to be revealed that will help you overcome these fears. And when that happens, of course, the first house is also involved. So this is speaks to dreaming a new you. What is the ideal you that you want to bring forth to the world? And what would that look like? And what are you willing to commit to? And what sacrifices do you have to make in order to step in and be that outrageous visionary leader? Saturn in Pisces in that first, the last few years, it's time to bring it. And you've worked hard and you've achieved a lot. And this can also be about earning, like now that you have put in all that work, it's like accepting the honors. But it's not any kind of self like, hey man, I'm cool. It's that humble servant, the Piscean servant who's taking care of others and being a very devoted and selfless. And but we're not victims either, so where have we been kidding ourselves? Have we been in fantasy land about ourselves, especially as self and others? Where do we want to leave a legacy, and who do we want to leave a legacy to? And how can we show up for others that's going to be a lasting contribution in our career and for the world? I hope that you've enjoyed that. In the meantime, I wish you all wonderful healing with this Grand Water Trine. And yay, let's go for it. Let's do it. We can do this together. All right. Namaste. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com.